Hello world, I'm Chris Pirillo, and this week I'm here to share with you the 7 things that I don't like about Windows 10, because last week I shared with you the 7 things that I do like. Instead of making a review based on the things that everybody else seems to talk about, I want to talk about my experience, because that's what it's all about when it comes to devices. And before I begin, let me go ahead and say that for the most part, Windows 10 is a step in the right direction. For the most part, because it comes with caveats. That does not mean that I'm slagging on Windows. It just means that I see both the good and the bad. I take them both, and there I have the facts of life. And the world don't move to the beat of just one drum. What might be right for you may not be right for some. A man is born. The first thing that I don't like is that you have to pay $10 for a year's worth of Solitaire. Actually, I'm kidding. I really don't mind that. For people to complain about paying $10 for an ad-free version of Solitaire after they got Windows 10 for free, come on! Do you have nothing else to complain about? Seriously, if you got the Windows 10 upgrade for free and you had to pay $10 for a game that you like to play anyway, what's the problem? The true first thing that I don't really like is that the free Windows 10 upgrade only lasts for about a year. So what that means is that if you have a system that's eligible for the Windows 10 upgrade, you better do it within the next 365 days. Actually, fewer days than that now. And keep in mind, that free upgrade path is tied to the PC, not you. I'm just saying, while I appreciate it's a free upgrade, that's a good thing, it's that it's only lasting for a year, and that's not such a good thing in my estimation. If you're gonna make it free now, why not make it free forever? How many times did Microsoft push back the end date for Windows XP support? Is it also a possibility that Microsoft will say, okay, Windows 10 is free for another year? I really don't know. I just wish that if Windows 10 was going to be free, it would be free indefinitely. Even if you have to pay $10 to play a game that you want to play anyway without ads. Maybe that would be a better monetization strategy for Microsoft. You're playing Minesweeper, you click the wrong square, and boom! You owe Microsoft another $10. That would make things interesting, and please, Microsoft, do not take this idea seriously. Please. The next thing that I don't like about Windows 10 is that sometimes the transitions and animations are herky-jerky and blinky and flashy. That was my best impression of Windows 10 sometimes. Of course, I'm exaggerating. But since when do I not exaggerate? I'm sure they're going to continue to smooth out the rough spots. It's just that I still see a few areas where a lot of rough spots need to be ironed out. And speaking of, the next thing that I don't like about Windows 10 is far too many legacy Windows elements remain. The way that Microsoft has evolved the Windows 10 experience is rather magical. But when you get smacked in the face with a dialogue from like 1990, you just kind of get thrown back and go, what? Maybe it's just me who sees a jarring difference between the Windows of yesteryear and the Windows of today and tomorrow. For example, I had some issues getting my microphone to work with Cortana, and then it threw up a wizard, and I'm all like, whoa, I think the last time I saw this dialogue, I was watching Mr. Wizard on TV. Actually, Mr. Wizard is older than that, and I probably am as well. Undoubtedly, the new Windows 10 UI is clean, until you have to deal with legacy elements. They're updated and clean-ish, but also kind of an eyesore. They just kind of stick out like a sore thumb. And they don't necessarily stick out like a sore thumb on an operating system that has similar components throughout. On Windows 7, the same dialogue may look fine, but on Windows 10, when you put that dialogue next to something else that looks like it belongs in another century, well, that's where it gets kind of clunky. And even though I don't know for sure, I believe that Microsoft is probably going to be doing its best to clean up the cruft. Still, my experience is based on what we have today, not what we might have tomorrow. Some people don't mind. I do, and I'm not talking about third-party apps either. I'm talking about the stuff that ships with Windows. You may be familiar with the ribbon interface in the File Explorer on Windows, but on Windows 10, it looks like yeah. If anything, take this as me saying that the new look and feel of Windows 10 is nice. Everything else, not so much. And you gotta take the everything else when you get Windows 10. If you can deal with it or you don't see a problem with it, good for you. The next thing that I don't like about Windows 10 is that the privacy settings are somewhat confusing and opt out. Microsoft has presented your privacy in such a way that it makes sense in context, but also in such a way that a lot of users aren't going to bother to toggle the options. I'm not here to say that the privacy policy is horrific. That is for you to decide. What I am saying is that it's somewhat difficult to navigate the options, at least comprehensively. If you didn't know it, by default, when you download Windows updates, you're also sharing your upload bandwidth with others. Get updates from Microsoft and get updates from and send updates to, by default, PCs on my local network and PCs on the internet. And that's just one of the settings that you might want to toggle. Every other setting is buried within some other random dialog. It's not comprehensive. I don't mind that Microsoft is trying these features. I do mind that it's an opt-out procedure and that it's not very simple for the average user to do. By and large, they could solve the problem by making everything opt-in, but that would probably be counterintuitive to Microsoft's business model. To put it bluntly, they want to be able to track you for advertising purposes. Then again, you could say the same for a lot of companies out there. It's just that I don't think the average Windows user is going to know what's going on. Yes, every user is given a choice, but how many times do users usually move past the defaults? I'm pretty sure that statistic is what Microsoft is banking on. But hey, it was a free upgrade, and other companies are doing it, so why can't Microsoft? That question is not for me to answer. The next thing that I don't like is the Windows Store. In general, I love the idea of the Windows Store. Unfortunately, it's kind of lacking a lot of apps that I'd want to keep installed. The Windows Store is getting there, and I like the idea of buying an app once or downloading an app once and having it tied to my account to be able to access it from a number of Windows machines, but I'm just now waiting for other apps to be released. So developers, develop! Speaking of third-party support, the next thing that I don't like is the lack of third-party support where it counts. Specifically, in the driver arena. As much as I didn't run into too many snags in upgrading from Windows 8.1 to Windows 10 on this Surface Pro 3 PC, which is mine, I did have some issues in trying to upgrade to Windows 10 from other PCs in my house. Is that Microsoft's fault? Is that the OEM's fault? I don't know. Either way, it's a problem for Windows 10. It's like the platform can't decide which utility is going to be responsible for upgrading everything. Your mileage may vary, and I'm not saying it's a gigantic issue, but I am saying that it was a problem, and it was not something that I liked. The next thing I don't like about Windows 10 is a fair amount of usability redundancy. It's not as bad as Windows 8, but it's still present in Windows 10. For example, I've gone to type within a field, and as I selected that field to type, the keyboard didn't pull up. The software keyboard, and I didn't have the hardware keyboard attached, and I was waiting for it to pull up, and then I had to manually pull it up because I forgot that I was not in tablet mode, or maybe I was in tablet mode and couldn't use the screen, but I can always touch the screen, but need to do it in a certain way to make sure that the keyboard pulls up. It was a step in the right direction, but I feel that Windows 10 still doesn't know who it wants to be, and when. On what? Creating a cohesive UX is a challenge, and I'm sure that Microsoft is up for the task. Or let me put it to you another way. They have to be up for the task, and they have to finish the task sooner rather than later. And despite the things that I don't like about my Windows 10 experience, I'm still under the belief that Windows 10 is a better experience than Windows 8 or Windows 7. I appreciate the time that you took to watch this review as well as the other one that I did last week at this point in time, but the best review is going to come from you. Use it yourself. Why listen to some random guy on the internet? This is just my experience. Yours is probably going to be completely different, and that's okay. In fact, I would expect it to be completely different, because there's only one me out there. I'm not here to make up your mind for you. That's your responsibility. And if you want to see 60 exclusive tech videos every single month, I'd be happy to give them to you. Head over to chrispirillo.com to become a patron today. At this point, however, I'm going to leave you to your own devices.